Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are tackling a subject that, I'll be honest, usually makes me want to crawl back into bed and just pull the covers over my head.
I think I know where this is going.
We're talking about saving money. And I don't mean the fun kind, where you find a $20 bill in your winter coat.
The best kind of saving, hands down.
Right. It's just pure joy.
Yeah.
No, today we're talking about the budgeting, cutting back, eating ramen noodles kind of saving. The kind that feels less like being responsible and more like, well, misery.
It's a punishment.
It feels like a punishment for being alive. Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the hook for today and why I'm actually, excited to get into this. We have a stack of sources here, psychological studies, financial strategy papers, and they all argue that the misery, it isn't necessary.
In fact, they suggest the opposite, that if you are miserable trying to save money, you're statistically way more likely to fail.
And that's the core thesis we're unpacking. We're looking at insights from a psychologist, a Dr. Aris, a financial strategist named Emily, and we've even got this great case study of a guy named Tom.
I think everyone is going to relate to Tom.
Oh, Tom is basically me. And I want to start right there with his story because it really sets the stage for everything else. Tom decided he was spending too much. So he did what everyone tells you to do.
He attacked the latte factor.
He went right for the lattes. The classic advice, right? Stop buying the $5 coffee and you'll become a millionaire.
It's on every personal finance blog out there.
So Tom goes cold turkey. No more coffee shops. And the source describes his next 3 weeks as, well, he basically felt like a zombie. He was tired, he felt deprived, he was grumpy.
He was winning the financial battle on paper, but he was absolutely losing the war for his own sanity. He was just depleting his willpower reserves every single morning.
And then, chest snap.
Yeah.
3 weeks in, a really stressful day at work, and he breaks. But he doesn't just go buy a latte.
No, that would be too simple.
He goes to a high-end kitchenware store and buys this sleek Italian espresso machine.
Which probably cost him, 6 months worth of lattes?
Easily. Hundreds of dollars. He tried to save $5 a day and ended up blowing a massive chunk of change in 20 minutes. So the mission for our deep dive today is to figure out why. Why does our brain do that?
It seems so counterintuitive, but it's actually a very predictable psychological response. And we want to move you away from that cycle of, deprivation and explosion and toward what the sources call strategic automation.
Okay, let's play psychologist then. What happened to Tom? Because the sources have a very specific name for this, and I honestly thought it was a joke when I first read it.
It does sound like a joke, but it's a real term in behavioral psychology. It's called the what the hell effect.
The what the hell effect, I love it.
And Dr. Aris, the psychologist, he highlights this as the #1 reason people fail at long-term goals. Not just money either. Dieting, quitting smoking, it's the exact same mechanism.
Okay, walk me through that mechanism, because on the surface, it just sounds like Tom lacked willpower. He was weak, he bought the machine, end of story.
And that's what Tom thinks too. He's beating himself up over it. But the what the hell effect says the problem wasn't Tom's character. It was the structure of his goal.
How so?
It starts with a really strict deprivation-based rule. I will never drink shop coffee again. That sets up a binary. It's either perfection or failure. There's no middle ground.
And nobody's perfect forever. You're going to slip up eventually.
Exactly. So you slip. You buy one coffee or you eat one cookie. And this is where the brain does something really fascinating. Instead of saying, oops, okay, let's get back on track tomorrow, it says,
Oh, the streak is broken. I already failed. It was hell.
But the hell, I might as well eat the whole box of cookies.
I might as well buy the espresso machine.
Precisely. It's a cycle. Indulgence followed by guilt. But, and this is the key insight, the guilt doesn't make you stop. The guilt makes you feel bad about yourself. And when we feel bad,
we look for comfort. And for Tom, spending money is comfort.
Exactly. The guilt leads to this feeling that the cause is lost, which then leads to greater indulgence to soothe the bad feelings from the first indulgence. It's a terrible feedback loop.
It's vicious. You feel bad about spending, so you spend more to feel better about feeling bad.
Right. And the takeaway here isn't that Tom needs to be tougher.
Yeah.
It's that relying on willpower, on that sheer force of saying no every single morning, is a fundamentally flawed strategy.
Because willpower isn't infinite.
It's a depleting resource. You wake up with a full tank, but by 4 p.m., after a bad meeting and sitting in traffic, that tank is empty.
And that's when you buy the espresso machine. You literally don't have the mental energy left to resist.
Correct.
Okay, so if willpower is a trap and we're just biologically wired to fail at this deprivation game, what's the alternative? we still have to retire someday. The sources suggest a pivot away from discipline and towards systems.
Right. And this is where we bring in Emily, the financial strategist. She argues the solution to the what the hell effect is to take the decision out of your own hands entirely.
Automation. I feel like everyone says automate your savings. How is this different?
It's the nuance of when and how. Emily is very specific. It's not about just transferring whatever is left at the end of the month.
Because there's never anything left at the end of the month.
Never. There is a concept called Parkinson's Law, which basically says our expenses will always rise to match our income. If the money is there, you'll find a way to spend it.
So what's the strategy?
Pay yourself first. You set up an automatic transfer. The source suggests starting with 10% that moves money from your checking to your savings the second your paycheck hits.
So the timing is the hack.
The timing is everything. You want that money gone before your brain even registers it's there, before you can mentally assign it to a weekend trip or a new pair of shoes. The phrase the source uses is out of sight, out of mind.
Usually that's a bad thing, like my car's check engine light.
Yes, for car maintenance, a terrible strategy. But for behavioral finance, it's a superpower. If the money isn't in your checking account, your brain just adjusts. You spend what you see. You're tricking yourself.
You're tricking yourself into being a little bit poorer than you actually are.
You're artificially lowering your liquidity to secure your future. You eliminate what's called decision fatigue. You aren't waking up and asking, should I save today? The decision was made once, months ago. The system is playing the game for you.
Okay, I buy that. Automation removes the daily temptation. But I can hear a listener right now shouting into their phone. And honestly, I'm kind of shouting with them.
Let me guess. That sounds great, but
I am living paycheck to paycheck. I literally cannot save 10%. If I move that money on payday, my rent check is going to bounce.
And that's a very real, very valid objection. Automation only works if there's margin to automate. And this brings us to what is maybe the most important part of the source material, the strategy shift.
The idea that most of us are trying to save money in completely the wrong places. We're all focused on the latte factor.
When we should be focused on the big three.
The big three: housing, transportation, and food.
These are the categories that eat up the vast majority of the average person's income. And Emily, the strategist, she makes this distinction that I think is just brilliant. She separates expenses into physical difficulty and emotional difficulty.
This part really clicked for me. Let's unpack this because I think it explains why Tom was so miserable.
Okay. Think about Tom's coffee. Cutting out coffee is physically easy, right? You just walk past the shop, no heavy lifting.
Right.
But emotionally, it's exhausting. It requires a huge amount of willpower every single day. It's a recurring emotional cost that just grinds you down.
A drip, drip, drip of negation.
Exactly. Now, compare that to moving to a slightly cheaper apartment or selling a car with a high monthly payment.
Oh, that's a nightmare. Packing, movers, changing your address, the DMV is a massive headache.
It is physically very difficult. It's miserable, but, and this is the key, it is a one-time decision. You do it once, you suffer through the hassle for a week, and then it's over. You don't have to wake up every morning and use willpower to pay less rent.
The bill just comes, and it's lower. You solve the problem at the source.
You trade a short period of high physical difficulty for a lifetime of zero emotional difficulty. That $400 you save a month. That's $400 you can automate without ever skipping a single latte.
But moving feels so drastic. People get attached to their apartments, their cars. It feels like a bigger sacrifice.
It feels huge in the moment, absolutely. But the sources argue we adapt to our surroundings really quickly. It's called hedonic adaptation. You'll get used to the smaller apartment in a month, but you never get used to the stress of being broke.
That is a powerful reframe. We beat ourselves up over a $5 coffee when the real money is locked up in our lease.
It's about being brave enough to make one big, uncomfortable change instead of 1,000 small, nagging ones.
Okay, but not everyone can just up and move. Leases, family, life happens. But the sources bring up another area where this logic applies. Subscription creep.
The silent wealth killer.
I felt so seen by this section. It talks about the zombie economy money leaving your account for things that are effectively dead to you.
Like that gym membership from 2 years ago that you're keeping. In that case.
Worse. The source uses the example of Tom realizing he's been paying for a Spanish learning app for 3 years. He did 2 lessons and then just forgot to cancel.
We all have a Spanish app, a streaming service we never use, a premium delivery service.
But why do we let this happen? It's literally setting money on fire.
Because companies design it that way. Signing up is frictionless. One click. Canceling. That's high friction. You have to find your password, navigate 3 different menus.
They hide the button. I swear they move it every month.
They're banking on your laziness. But if we applied the big 3 logic, canceling these things is another one-time decision.
You endure 20 minutes of annoyance to stop the bleeding forever.
Exactly. Sit down with your bank statement and be ruthless. You permanently lower your monthly burn rate, and again, no daily willpower is required.
So automation is handling the savings habit. The big 3 and killing zombie subscriptions are lowering our costs. But we still have to, live in the world. We see ads. We walk past stores.
The impulse buys.
The impulse buys. I still want that new jacket.
Yeah.
And this is where Dr. Aris comes back in with a tactic for rewiring the brain, the 30-day rule.
I love this rule because it acknowledges how our brains actually work instead of fighting them.
I've heard of it, but it always just sounded like procrastination to me. I'll just buy it later.
It is procrastination, but it's strategic. The rule is simple. If you see something non-essential over a certain price, say $100, you are forbidden from buying it that day. You have to write it down on a list, date it, and wait 30 days.
30 days is an eternity when you're standing in the store holding the jacket. Putting it back on the rack actually hurts.
That pain you feel, that's your emotional brain screaming for a reward. Dr. Aris explains that most spending isn't about the product, it's about buying a feeling. The rush of newness, status, whatever.
We're chasing the dopamine hit.
And that high is purely emotional and very, very temporary. By forcing a 30-day wait, you let that emotion cool down. You give your rational brain, your prefrontal cortex time, to wake up and catch up.
So the emotional brain is screaming, I need this. And the 30 days is just waiting for the rational brain to wake up, have a coffee, and calmly look at the price tag.
Exactly. And the sources suggest that in something like 80% of cases, the urge just vanishes. You look at the list a month later and think, why on earth did I want that?
You save the money by literally doing nothing.
But if after 30 days, you still want it, you've still been thinking about it, then you should go buy it. Because now it's a considered purchase, not an impulse. You've removed the regret.
This connects to one last concept from the sources that, honestly, I found a little terrifying. It's the idea of opportunity cost.
Yes. This is where Emily, the strategist, really brings the hammer down with the time value of money.
She uses a calculation that actually made my stomach drop.
It's a sobering calculation.
Yeah.
She uses the example of a new $1,000 phone. Most of us think, okay, the cost is $1,000. I have $1,000. I can afford it.
Seems simple enough. Money in, money out.
But Emily argues that you have to look at what that money could become. If you're relatively young and you invested that $1,000 instead with average market returns, in 20 years, that money could be worth roughly $10,000.
So the phone doesn't cost $1,000.
No. It costs you $10,000 of your future wealth. That is its true price.
That changes everything. You walk through a mall and you don't see a $100 pair of sneakers. You see $1,000 disappearing from your future.
It completely reframes the idea of value. It forces you to ask the real question. Is this phone worth $10,000 to future me? Sometimes the answer might be yes, but often the need for it just evaporates.
It cuts right through all the marketing hype.
And that's really the theme today, isn't it? Whether it's the what the hell effect, the big 3, or opportunity cost, it's all about moving from emotional, reactive behavior to rational, systemic behavior.
It's about building a defense system against your own brain's worst impulses.
Exactly.
So let's bring this all together. If someone listening is going to do 3 things to stop being miserable about money, what should they be?
3 pillars. First, automation. Stop trusting your willpower. It failed, Tom. It will fail you. Set up that automatic transfer. You can't spend what you don't see.
Hide the money from yourself. Pillar 2.
Attack the big 3. If you are truly struggling, cutting lattes is a rounding error. Look at your housing, your transportation. Be willing to endure that short-term physical difficulty of a move or a car sale to buy yourself permanent emotional freedom.
Fix the structural stuff, not the small stuff.
And
Number 3.
the 30-day rule. Put that gap between the want and the buy. Let your rational brain have a vote. And while you're waiting, calculate the real future cost of that item. Is it worth 10 times its price tag?
And I want to add one last thing the sources really emphasized. Consistency beats perfection.
Yes, absolutely crucial. If you slip up, if you buy the expensive shoes, don't spiral. Don't let it trigger the what the hell effect. Just get back on track tomorrow.
The system you build is more important than any single mistake.
Absolutely. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be automated.
Well said. And before we go, I want to leave you with a little homework. That $1,000 phone costing $10,000 in future wealth. Look around your room right now. Pick one thing you bought recently, something you didn't truly need, and ask yourself, is this worth 10 times its price in my future freedom?
That's a question that might just change your life.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.